There is so much stuff to memorize. I sit with my books and agonize. Zero retention in my memory, no comprehension of the summary. I wish for some magic methods to remember, which could get me a very high number. So I discovered some techniques to memorize faster, and soon I became the favorite student of the schoolmaster. So in this video, I will share with you top 4 scientific techniques to learn faster and remember more. And by the end of this video, you will become a walking, talking encyclopedia. So let's get going. Hey, this is Chetna and you're watching ChetChat. So let's begin with the top 4 scientific techniques that scientists, teachers and also the smartest students in the world use to learn faster and remember more. Technique number 1, big picture technique. Most times we just start cramming every single detail from our textbook and then forget most of it anyway. Instead, learning can be easy with the big picture technique. Just like how pieces of the jigsaw puzzle never make sense until they all come together to make one big picture. Similarly, learning in bits and pieces means nothing until it all collates together to make the topic meaningful. For example, if you want to learn about the Mughal dynasty in Indian history, how about you first look at the map of India over time and notice the changing shape and size of the Mughal Empire over the years. Think about which different communities existed in the Mughal era. Understand why different groups of people supported them. What was their motivation? You can also think about the different tactics used by the Mughals. Imagine if you were a ruler, how would you have ruled under those conditions? Once you understand the big picture, the small details will just perfectly fit in place. For one day, read your book like a fairy tale, keeping the large canvas in mind, the bigger picture, and you will learn for life. And before we move on to technique number 2, I would like to give a shout out to Art Unique for this amazing message which got 212 likes from all you Chet chatters. So if you want a shout out in my next video, write me an inspiring message with the hashtag ChetChatter. Technique number 2, visual mnemonics. Research proves that images and pictures stay in our mind for much longer than words or sounds. While there are several types of memory enhancing mnemonics to choose from, my personal favorite is the one that involves lots of drawings and sketching. Basically, visualizing information into fun images and pictures. So let's say you're a biology student who's studying about depressant drugs like barbiturates, alcohols and tranquilizers. You can use a visual mnemonic to remember B-A-T, BAT instead. B for barbiturates, A for alcohol and T for tranquilizers. And just draw a sad, sleepy looking depressed bat in your textbook next to where this information is given. This strong visual will stay in your memory for times to come. Let's try another one together. Let's learn the meaning of the word numismatist. Now close your eyes and visualize a beautiful beach with coconut trees and clean, cool water. Suddenly, from far away, a new mist is approaching and it starts to cover the whole beach like a mat. After a few moments, it begins raining. And instead of drops of water, coins are falling down from the sky. Open your eyes. Silly? Of course. But now you will never forget that a numismatist is another word for a coin collector. Okay, here's another one. Let's try this technique to study organic chemistry. How can you very quickly and effortlessly learn the Williamson ether synthesis? Here's how. Imagine a hill station, tall mountains and trees all around. Imagine this man called William and his naughty son sitting outside their resort. William is drinking a can of beer and his son is playing the mouth organ. Suddenly, they throw the mouth organ and the bottle of beer down the hill and they find a surprising gift of the most beautiful feather flying up and landing on them. How fascinating is this story? William and his naughty son remind me of Williamson. The mouth organ is an organohalide and the bottle of beer is an alcohol and the feather represents an ether. Now draw this in your textbook right next to its explanation so you'll never forget the Williamson ether synthesis. Points to remember here are: 1. Make the image as visual as possible. Let it be gruesome, scary or plain silly. It leaves a lasting impression on the memory and makes recall of the related information much better. 2. Don't worry about your artistic ability. No points for that. As long as you remember the information looking at the picture, you've hit bullseye. And if you want a creative visual way to remember the periodic table and other such exciting ideas, then take a look at this video and I will drop a link for you in the description box below. Technique number 3. Humanify to simplify. Why is it that we remember the scenes, dialogues and even expressions from our favorite movie, even though we watched it months ago? And why do we forget the chapter that we studied last night? Interest. We remember full details of what we like and conveniently forget what we don't like. So let's humanify difficult concepts. Make them into real people, your friends and family. And let's try this out. Now, here is a list of 17 mineral nutrients that the human body needs a lot of. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium and calcium. And the symbols are given on the screen. Now think of this as a boy named Jones who picked up PK mangoes MG in a car. So a boy named Jones picked up mangoes in a car. Think of this boy Jones, give him some attitude, try to visualize the color of his clothes and imagine that he's got some amazing nutrition by picking up the mangoes in the car. Think of the brand of the car and the color too. These visual details will help you remember the information like a movie. Okay, let's try one more. Here is a list of micronutrients. Those nutrients that the human body needs in micro quantities, small doses. Nickel, boron, chlorine, zinc, manganese, copper, molybdenum, iron. A nice boy called Zen manages to cure the monkey by feeding him. Think of this nice sweet little boy called Zen and also this scratchy monkey with some white spots who has some deficiencies. And imagine the monkey getting cured by having these micronutrients. Technique number 4. Go all out. This technique is literally stretching and going all the way and leaving no stones unturned to study the same concept using all sorts of learning materials. So assuming you're studying for an important test on atoms and you need to memorize the structure of atoms and isotopes. Here's what you can do. 1. Read the chapter from your textbook and make notes. 2. Go through your handwritten notes after that. 3. Take a break, do your own research online about atoms, their structures, properties, etc. 4. Look at some videos or listen to podcasts related to the same subject. 5. Make a mind map of all that you've learned so you can put that information in perspective. Take up mock tests. And finally, test your own knowledge by teaching the same concept to somebody else. This is sure to drive the last nail into your memory and you will definitely ace your test. So basically, if you go all out and learn the same information in several ways, you're bound to retain the information much longer. And if you want to know which free study apps to use for doing this research, then I will drop links two of our very popular videos on the top 10 free study apps. As the saying goes, how do you build a palace? One brick at a time. Similarly, to implement all these 4 tips in the video, focus on just 1 tip a week. Pick one, practice it for a week. And once you've turned that tip into a consistent study habit, move on to the next one. And in no time, you will be your class topper. So wish you the best for your exams and happy learning.